With the abortion industry, we're kind of trained on what to tell patients, and a lot of times it is absolute lies, especially when it comes to the abortion pill. We're trained to tell them that, it's like a bad period, you're going to have a little bit heavier bleeding, you might have some severe cramping, when in all reality, it pretty much feels like your uterus is going to fall out, and you have heavy bleeding. I've seen women pass blood clots the size of softballs. I've had women bring in a pad with a fetus laying on it. I've seen women come in hemorrhaging, and they've had seizures on the table, and we've had to resuscitate and send them to the hospital. We're coached to tell these women things that it's just not true, and I feel like if we were to tell them the truth, they would actually stop a lot of women from having abortions and taking the pill.
I started being more familiar with the abortion pill once I became a counselor, and we would actually give the first pill to the patient in this little cubicle kind of area, and that should have been a doctor, but any of us could do it. And I would explain to her that bleeding would occur. It wouldn't be nothing more than a period. So that's what I was led to believe also, that it was just going to be, kind of like just a period, a light period. It's early in the pregnancy, so it shouldn't be like a surgical procedure. That's what I was led to believe. So I didn't think that it was anything wrong, with just letting the patient know that. But I felt that it was wrong for me administering it because I'm not a medical doctor.
It was this one particular lady that, again, alone and scared, coming in there trusting, and they just pushed her off, just like you're at a Walmart or something, purchasing something. Here, take this, you'll be okay. Don't worry about anything. She didn't take too well to the medication, and she was bleeding out. And it was just amazing how the first thing that came to someone's mind was get another medication for it instead of calling the ambulance. No one wanted to call the ambulance to be responsible for that. And I finally got a nurse in the back that, was scared, but finally got someone to call the ambulance, and she, could have died right there if it was up to them.
The abortion pill is just as bad as the surgical procedure. And so, there was a lot of minors that we coached and persuaded to take the pill, even though you're not supposed to. With the pill, they would pass it a lot of times at home and would bring it in like on a pad or wrapped up in a tissue. I've seen them brought in a shoebox, little tiny, boxes.
So we would give the pill. They would have to take the second one, and then they had to come back a couple weeks later so that we could do an ultrasound to make sure that everything cleared out of the uterus. And this particular patient came in, we did the ultrasound, and the head was still in there. So there were still parts of the baby inside of her womb. And that had to be surgically removed because by that time, 2 weeks later, here we are, it had to be surgically done. So this woman had to go through a surgical procedure on top of already traumatizing medical procedure. And then she almost bled out. So while we were doing the procedure in the room, she just kept bleeding out. And this is another thing that caught my attention was we were giving her shots of vitamin K. We just kept giving her injections in her thighs to try to help her start clotting, and she would not clot right away. So she bled a lot. It was everywhere in that room.
When I worked at Planned Parenthood as an RHA, we were told to mislead the women that came in looking for abortion pills. We were instructed to tell them the abortion pills were going to be easy, and we knew they weren't. These women were experiencing intense pain, and they were afraid for their lives.
There's a couple of reasons why. First of all, money. It's a quick $500 to $600. Second, you can do a large number of pills as opposed to surgeries. And another is the fact that it's less time consuming for the doctors. They don't have to sit at a table and do the procedure. They can just hand you a pill, go over some instructions, and send you on your way with a prescription. There's a lot with the abortion pill, and the amount of bleeding, even when the pill works, is way more than a bad period. And I don't know, we're trained to lie to these women, and it's just not right at all. The abortion pill is very dangerous. It doesn't matter if you're 5 weeks, if you're 10 weeks. It's a very dangerous way of evacuating pregnancy.
When I worked at an abortion facility in Virginia, I would give abortion pills to patients. They would report back that they bled for weeks, intense pain, cramping, incomplete abortions, mental distress, infections, blood clots, and some would even be afraid that they were dying. Patients would routinely tell me that their experience was more intense than we told them it would be. Anyone that's telling you abortion pills are not a big deal is just lying to you.
The stories you hear from our videos are real life. We're the ones that handed the checks to women that became septic. We have seen the carnage of abortion pills. We unfortunately have the real life experience that we need to share with you, the public, because you deserve the truth. These little pills kill.